Hi, this is Bill Nelson. I'm the Grand Canyon Council Advancement Chairman, and we're going to do a presentation today on the as an introduction. If you're an advancement chairman for your unit, an advancement coordinator for your unit, this is a presentation for you. We're going to go over your job responsibilities and where you can find resources to get your job done. So here's what we're going to go over today. We're going to go over the typical responsibilities to support the unit advancement. We're not going to go through all the responsibilities that are possible. We'll give you a typical list of responsibilities, and we'll give you an overview of tracking advancement, how different units track advancement, and the opportunities you have for that. And what may be most important for you, a list of resources where you can go to get more information. But before we start all of this, I would like to welcome you to the world of advancement. There's a lot of information that we're going to give in the presentation. It's going to look overwhelming, but take the job slowly. You don't have to do everything from day one. Hang in there and you'll get the knack of it over time, and you'll wonder why you thought it was so hard. So the major job that you have as an advancement coordinator or advancement chair for your unit is to support your unit leader. Now you'll see the term unit leader used a lot in Boy Scout information. The term unit leader means either the Cub Master, the Scout Master, a varsity coach, or a venturing advisor. Those people are termed unit leaders in the BSA publication. So whenever you see that term, that's who they're talking about. So your job is to basically support the unit leader's vision for advancement, provide consulting to him as to what are the BSA policies on advancement that he has to follow, he or she has to follow, and the procedures that the BSA wants you to use. And then beyond that, just assist in general assistance in advancement. So where do you go for the policies and procedures that are official? All right, the BSA policies and procedures that all units must adhere to in advancement is in the Guide to Advancement. Now let me talk a little bit about policies and procedures and standardization. In the Boy Scouts of America, it's not only a national program, we have people in other countries as well. We want to have standardization over advancement, and to do that you really need to have national policies that everybody adheres to. So for example, in the requirements, there are requirements in the Cub Scout side, and there are requirements in the Boy Scout side and above. In the Cub Scout side, the requirements are written, and then the Cub Scout tries his best to match them. He doesn't have to do exactly everything that's there in the requirements, as long as he's trying to, and he does his best to achieve the requirements. In the Boy Scout side and on up, whatever the requirement says, the Scout has to do. The Scoutmaster can't change the requirements, and the council and district can't change the requirements. So that's a policy, it's a national policy. That way, when a boy becomes Eagle, he's done the same requirements, whether he's in New York City, Phoenix, Alaska, Hawaii. There's consistency across the board, and that's why we have policies for advancement. So the place you go to find those policies is in a book called The Guide to Advancement. The Guide to Advancement is updated every 3 years. It is available at the Scout Shop, or you can get it online at scouting.org/Guide to Advancement. In either case, that's your current policies and procedures for advancement. So as an advancement coordinator, advancement chair, I would highly recommend that you get a copy of this book and you read it so that you know what the policies and procedures for your level of scouting are. Okay, support for the unit leader. Your job, as I mentioned, is support, and here are some things that we're going to start talking about. And one of the things that we'd like you to do is to make sure that your unit leader understands the appropriate methods for advancement and ideas on how to encourage advancement, especially when the scouts, the scouts are advancing slowly. How can you stimulate advancement throughout your pack or troop? And there are guides that you can use. There are some resources you can use. An example here on the slide is our charts. These, you can get a Cub Scout chart for your pack. You can get a troop chart to track troop or team advancement. These are available at the Scout Shop, or you can make your own charts and put them up. Charts are good because the scouts are able to see how they're progressing, and they can have a little competition amongst themselves for advancing. And also a leader can look at a chart and instantly see who's not advancing. So they come in very handy. One of your jobs also is to help with advancement ceremonies. You help plan and facilitate and make sure they have the badges and things like that for advancement ceremonies. Now in troops and teams and crews, that would be a court of honor, is where they have their advancement ceremonies. It is recommended that they occur every quarter, and it's a formal ceremony with parents. Pack meetings should have an element that is a recognition part of the pack meeting, and pack meetings should occur every month. What you probably already know is advancement coordinators, advancement chairmen in the unit are the people who normally have to obtain the badges and awards at the Scout Shop. Normally what we would like you to do is have the badges and pins and belt loops and things like that purchased to be presented to the scout at either the next pack meeting, or in the case of troops and crews and teams, at the next troop meeting, team meeting, that they're awarded the badges. And then for the troops and teams, that they then award a card at the court of honor in front of the parents. The closest we can get to immediate recognition, the best it is for the boys, so they understand that they're advancing and they get encouraged to advance to the next rank. One of your other jobs is try to keep the advancement on track and know what the goals are. For packs, make sure that the Cub Scouts advance in rank every year, either by the end of the school year or within their birth year, before their next birthday. You want to make sure that a Cub Scout every year is advancing a rank. In troops and teams, the goal is to have a boy who enters into Boy Scouts become first class within 12 to 18 months of joining Boy Scouts. So that's the goal. Keep him on track so he gets to first class within 12 to 18 months. We really would like to see the boys earning Eagle in the early years of high school. We don't really want them to wait until they're 17 and 9 months to get their Eagle. It puts on a lot of pressure for everybody involved to try to get it by their 18th birthday. So it's best if they're on track, they get it done. If you can get them to do that, it's a lot easier on everyone. We already talked about knowing advancement procedures that National has and that are in the Guide to Advancement. Also understand that the Council has advancement procedures for you, and that we need to abide by in our council, and we're the Grand Canyon Council. For general advancement, that means that you have to use Internet Advancement and submit your advancement through that tool and receive a report from Internet Advancement that you bring to the Scout Shop to purchase your advancement awards. For the high awards, Eagle Scout for the Boy Scouts, Summit is an award for venturing, and Quartermaster is an award for Sea Scouts, and they're the high awards, they're the top awards. There are also some special awards out there in the different programs, and those tend to have different processes to obtain those awards. So especially with Eagle Scout, the process is a lot more complicated than it is for just getting a merit badge. So learn about those processes and how to get those done. We do have separate trainings for those. For Eagle Scout awards, we have another video that you can watch on that whole process from Life to Eagle. Good for if you're in a troop or a team and you're the advancement coordinator. It's good for you to review that so that you understand what that process is when the time comes for a boy to become Eagle. As if you're in a troop or a team or a crew, you have the responsibility for arranging the boards of review. Now, we ask you that they're timely. Shortly after the boy earns the rank, that he attends a board of review. At least once a month, offer boards of review opportunities for the boys. If the youth is ready for the board of review, you invite them, or you have somebody in the committee invite them. It's really not the youth's responsibility to specifically ask for a board of review. We have a separate video on boards of review to train not only you, but also anybody who sits on a board of review. There is a separate presentation that people can watch to get that understanding of how a board of review functions. Okay. Also, within the Guide to Advancement from National, in that booklet, it has a whole chapter on how to run a board of review. We have a so take a look at the video and take a look at the Guide to Advancement. Talking about processes, and I mentioned that you have to use Internet Advancement, and that is true. You need to use Internet Advancement to submit your records to council, to then go to the Scout Shop and buy your awards. Now, the reason for that is because the Boy Scouts of America store all of the Scouts records in a database, and that database is called ScoutNet, or it also goes by the term ACALA. You might hear either one of those terms being used. And that's where the Boy Scouts of America store records. The way units put input into those records as far as advancement is concerned is with a tool called Internet Advancement, and we use that tool to input into the national and council records. The reason why we do it this way is because these records are backed up and they're secure. National and council can access the records when the boys start earning the higher ranks, and it stores historical data. So let's say a scout moves from one unit to another, his advancement can move with him. no matter where he moves in the United States, so in the BSA. So that's why we use this tool, and why we need you to put the records in there before you actually buy the badges. And it's not optional. You have to use it, and so this is going to be part of your life, internet advancement. If you don't have access and don't know how to get access to internet advancement, we do have a separate training on it. Contact your district executive, and they can step you through using internet advancement, and they'll give you a password to get into the system. Each unit is assigned one password to get into internet advancement. So let's talk a little bit about where today units store advancement records. For a long time, years and years, and even today, most advancement progression is being tracked in the Boy Scout Handbook or the Cub Scout Handbook, and there's sections there that you can track advancement at the requirement level, and people can sign off each requirement individually. So you get an initial of a person, so you can kind of figure out who it was that signed them off, or they sign it, and it's done requirement by requirement. So that's a big advantagement. You know what those people are, who's signing them off, and what they signed off as the scout progresses through the ranks. Another advantage of tracking in the handbook is that the tracking stays with the scout and moves around with the scout. So the scout's got possession of the book, and the scout can have it and look at it. The parents, easy for the parents to look at it because the scout is with them. So those are advantages to tracking it in the book. A lot of disadvantages. The book can be lost, or it can be dropped in a lake and ruined. There's no backup. I mean, if you're just tracking it in the book, you really have no backup. If the book is lost or ruined, trying to recreate the whole advancement is kind of hard to do. And that's why units have started to go to electronic systems. But let's just talk about the disadvantages. It's not in the BSA database, so you have to get you got to get that information at least when he becomes gets rank, and when he gets special awards, and when he's a Boy Scout, he gets merit badges. You have to get that information into the official BSA database somehow. If a leader wants to look at a book, he has to ask the boy to bring the book by so that he can look at it, to do spot checks and things like that. And there's no automatic reporting, obviously, coming out of the book. There are a lot of disadvantages. There's more disadvantages that you could probably think of if all that you're doing is tracking your advancement in the Boy Scout Handbook. But I want to point out a need for these handbooks, and don't think that all I'm doing is dishing them. The handbook has originally been written, and it still is, the boys' how-to book. So how to do each of the requirements is in the handbook. That's why we have handbooks. At the Cub Scout level, they discuss each of the adventures as the boy is progressing towards rank, and how to get those requirements done. And in the Boy Scout Handbook, it teaches the Boy Scout how to do the skills that are required from the Scout rank all the way through first class. So these books have an extreme value. They're not just tracking tools. So I want to make sure everybody understands that the book is there as a how-to book to teach the scout. But in the advancement side, we're also tracking advancement in them. Okay, let's talk about the electronic tracking systems that are out there. There's a number of them out there. There's Troop Master and Pack Tracks, and a bunch of other ones out there. I'll talk about Scout Book, since that's owned by the BSA. But you can things that I say about Scout Book, you can probably point to other packages like Troopmaster and say, well, that's true with Troopmaster as well. So it's a computerized tracking system, and there are a lot of advantages to it. In the sense of Scout Book, it's web-based, it's secured, and it's backed up. So the advantage of Scout Book is that you don't have to back it up. The system backs up itself. It's in a secure cloud environment. Not everybody has access to your boys' records. The records are encrypted as they go through the network, and they are in a secure environment that only certain people can access. However, it's easy to be accessed. With passwords that you have, and you have private passwords, the parents can access the Scouts records and look at them, and in the case of Cub Scouts, they can sign off on requirements. The parents can allow access for the boys, and the boys can access and view their own records and their own advancement, and they can track themselves through it. These systems like Scout Book allow you to see the progression of the boys and figure out what percentage of the advancement is done towards the next rank. A lot of nice features to it. Scout Book is web-based, so you can anywhere that you can get to the web, on any platform that you can get to the web on. That includes phones and tablets and laptops and desktops and TVs, or whatever you can get to the web with, you can get to Scout Book from, and you can credit the boys with advancement in real time. So all of that is great. And merit badge counselors can look at how the boy's progressing and sign him off, and the boy can see that he's being signed off on merit badge requirements as well. All of that can be done using Scout Book. So there are tons of advantages to using it, and I don't want to waste time going into all of them, but it's a real nice system. Okay, so what are the disadvantages from our vantage point here of recording and tracking advancement? Well, it's not in the BSA database. It's not in ScoutNet, which holds the BSA data long term. It's in a separate database record that stays with the unit. It doesn't follow the Scout. If the Scout goes from one unit to another unit, you don't transfer the data for the Scout. That's not easily done. So it's unit oriented. Okay, so that is another disadvantage of the system. So how do we then solve this problem? How do we make it so that we can use the different systems and stuff? Okay, first off, don't stop using the handbook to sign off on the requirements. It's still needed because the record stays with the Scout and moves when he moves around. So even though it's in these other tools, the record is also with the Scouts. The first thing that we ask, if later on, and it could be years later, we look and say, hey, there's a problem here, we need to know when he became first class, and if he was signed off, so if you have the book, you open the book and you point to it and say, yeah, he was signed off. Okay, so it's still the best first source to go to for advancement. So keep it around, keep it up to date, make sure you're using the books to be signed off on. You have to use internet advancement to get the Scout records into ScoutNet Akela, the BSA database. So you don't have any choice. Somebody in your unit has to update the ranks, the merit badges, and the special awards through to ScoutNet, through the BSA database. We need to have it there. So You have to use Internet Advancement, and you have to get it into the BSA database. Now the good news there is with Scout Book, this will become a click of a button in a year or so, and I've got a graphic on that I'll show you, and you'll be able to view what's in ScoutNet Akela with Scout Book as well in the future. Here's my little graphic. So right now Scout Book allows you to, here's Scout Book, this yellow cylinder here, and this is the BSA database, this blue one. So, and they're separate. As you can see, they're separate databases. Scout records, their advancement records, and leader training records, with a click of a button can download into Scout Book now. So it's virtually a click of a button, and a wheel spins, and that data is updated in Scout Book, and then you can use it in Scout Book all the time. So you have visibility that way into the system from Scout Book. Eventually, hopefully this year or next year, it'll be that easy to move all of the Scout advancement into the national database. So even though I'm telling you, you got to get it up there now, in the future, the good news is it won't be too hard to do that. Currently, what we have to do is we actually have to download it into a file. File has to go into Internet Advancement, and then that file gets uploaded into the national database. So it's a disadvantage now that there's like a two-step process to get it through there, and you have to use Internet Advancement. You don't have to type it, but you have to get it in there. We have a separate video that walks you through that whole process, but I wanted to show you now that there's kind of a light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, so let's look at what happens when a Scout moves and what we can do to move records. As far as ScoutNet and Akela, the BSA database, is concerned, if the Scout is moving from one unit inside the council to another unit inside the council registrar can move the Scout. You give them the membership ID of the Scout, and they can transfer that Scout to the other unit, and all of his records move with him. If he's going from inside the council to another council, then you can print out a member summary report from Internet Advancement for that Scout. The member summary report is on the same page that you input his rank advancement manually. So if you're going to input his rank advancement, on that page in the upper left corner is a member summary report button. Click on that, select the Scout, produces a PDF file that you can give the Scout that he can bring to his other unit at the other council, and they can put in the data that goes into ScoutNet. Another way is if later on, if he moves and that you forget about, you didn't give him a member summary report, that other council can request a member summary report from our council, and then they can get it and put his information into their version, their part of ScoutNet Akela. So that right now, that's how you move a member from one unit to another in the BSA database. On the Scout Book side, since it's web-based and has a central database, you can transfer a Scout, the Scout's records from one unit to another unit if both units are using Scout Book. And you can find more information on how to do that on the forums at Scout Book or by contacting Scout Book. And I'll give you a contact email at the end of the presentation. Also ask for a member summary report from the computer software you're using. So if for example, they're not both on Scout Book, or you don't know where he's going, go ahead and print out a member summary report from Scout Book or Troop Master. I think they call it a history report in Troop Master. print one of those out and give them to the scout, and he can take that with him to the other unit, and they can use that information to input into the records with whatever software they're using. This is important if it's your unit tracking software that you're using holds more information than what ScoutNet Akela holds, which again is just rank advancement, special awards, and merit badges. And then finally, he'll have his handbook as well. And as long as you're keeping the handbooks up to date, he can bring that to the new unit, and they can go from there. That's usually plenty of information for them for their advancement records. So that's what you do when a scout moves. So what's the bottom line? Okay, so the bottom line is to take advantage of the new technology while using the old. Still use the Boy Scout handbook and the Cub Scout handbooks. Keep track of the advancement that's in there. You got to use Internet Advancement and upload your stuff to the national database before the Scout Shop will allow you to purchase the rank advancements and merit badges. And also take advantage of the new technology. There's too much that those new tools give you for you not to use the new technology. So use the new technology, but remember that you have to keep them all in sync. And that's going to be the job of the advancement person in your unit, is to keep these three components in sync and try to keep them in sync. If you are tracking individual requirements with the computerized tool, let's say Scoutbook, it becomes a little harder because now you're signing off in the Scout handbook and you're trying to keep up to date in the tool. So keeping those, it's more things that you have to put in sync. If all you're keeping in sync in the individual tool, computer tool, is the rank advancements and merit badges, it's easier, because you can do it when you do the Internet Advancement work. You do Internet Advancement, keep your tool up to date, and you get the Internet Advancement report, and you go to the Scout Shop. So you kind of do that all at the same time. But if you're doing each individual record and you're tracking them, let's say in Scoutbook, you need to also, our recommendation is you track them in the Boy Scout handbook as well, because if that scout moves, his record has to move with him, and you don't know when he's going to move. They may or may not tell the unit they're moving. You may find that out afterwards, or at the spur of the moment, or or never. Now let's talk about the merit badge process a little bit. If you're a advancement chairman for a troop or a team or a crew, then you're going to deal with merit badges, and there is a separate process video on the merit badge process, and that video is located at grandcanyonbsa.org/mbc for merit badge counselor, and it's merit badge counselor training is what it is. When you have a few minutes, watch that video, go to that website and look through the handouts that are there, and it'll walk you through the entire merit badge process. As the advancement coordinator of a troop or crew or team, you're going to be the go-to person for how does this process work, how do I become a merit badge counselor, etc., etc. And that whole thing is explained on this web page on grandcanyonbsa.org/mbc. So go there, understand the process. It's not that complicated, but rather than take time in this presentation, I'm going to refer you there. There is a merit badge counselor list, and to be on that list, you have to be registered at the council with a current registration as a merit badge counselor for a particular badge. So you say, okay, I'm registered, and I'm registered for these 3 merit badges, to counsel these 3 merit badges. That has to be recorded at council and you have to renew, and that has to be renewed on a regular basis. That list of who is renewed and who is on that list is given to the district advancement chairman, and the unit leader can get that list from the district advancement chairman. So your job is to keep that list going and make sure that you guys are using the people that are on that list. And if you have people in your unit that want to be merit badge counselors, and very often it's very common that you guys actually you prefer to have merit badge counselors out of your own unit. So those people need to be registered, and for you to know that they are registered and everything's okay, you need that list, because their names have to be on that list. So again, the list is updated once a month. It is given to the district advancement chairman. The unit leader of your unit can get a copy of the list from the district advancement chairman and then give it to you. And then you can have a most updated list of the merit badge counselors. Again, go to that merit badge counselor page and find out what the process is. The reason why the list isn't like public, we didn't post it in a public area, is because we want the scouts to follow the process of going to their scoutmaster for a recommendation of a merit badge counselor. That's part of the process, and you'll understand that when you watch the video that's at the merit badge counselor page. Okay, another job you've got is to help out with the unit library and make sure the advancement literature is there and is up to date. So that's true in packs, teams, crews, everybody. Make sure you're working with, if you're in a troop or a team or a crew, there's usually a youth assigned to the library as librarian, so make sure you're working with that person and make sure everything is up to date. On the Boy Scout side, there is a book called the Boy Scout Requirements Book that has all of the merit badges, all of the ranks requirements in it, and all of the requirements for special awards. Kind of a one-stop shop for Boy Scout requirements. That book is updated usually late in January, early February, every year. So look for that book. It is at the Scout Shop, and pick one of these up every year and put it in your troop library. It comes in very handy because it has all of the merit badge requirements in it, and it has all of the rank requirements and all the special award requirements, and things like tote and chip as well, and those sort of things are in here. The merit badge pamphlets not only have the requirements, but they also have information in the pamphlets to help the boys earn the requirements, so they become very important when a boy goes for a merit badge. And those pamphlets are updated every 3 years. So if you have a pamphlet at in your troop library that is older than 3 years, then it's probably out of date. So check the dates of the printing dates of the pamphlet that you have, and if they're over 3 years, you probably want to go to the Scout Shop and refresh them and get a new pamphlet. Some of these pamphlets are starting to come online, where a scout can download an app to their phone to access a pamphlet. That's more than acceptable to access a pamphlet. Just realize though that there's just one person that has access to it. Okay, also learn about other awards that are available. As another part of your job. Not only do they have the rank awards that everybody pretty much understands, but there's other awards that are available and other opportunities for recognition. And a good way of knowing about, well, what other awards are available that the scouts can earn and the leaders can earn, you go to the guide called the Guide to Awards and Insignia. This is also, by the way, the place you would go to if you want to know what are the policies on uniforms and uniforming. That's really not your job, but it's something that people are curious about. It's also in this Guides to Awards and Insignia. This guide is available from the Scout Shop. You can buy it there. It's a big blue book, or it's online at scouting.org/media/insignia guide. If you go there, then it has the book online. Okay, so we're getting towards the end here. For more information, there's a lot of resources on advancement that are at our council website. So if you go to grandcanyonbsa.org/advancement and just start perusing the pages from there, you'll get a lot of information for advancement. Also remember the Guide to Advancement, that book I said at the beginning to read and understand what's in there. The Guide to Safe Scouting has policies on safety related to a troop, and when earning requirements and doing things, what are the safety rules and policies? And those safety policies in the Boy Scouts of America are in a book called The Guide to Safe Scouting. That's also online, and if you Google Guide to Safe Scouting, space scouting.org, it's the first thing that pops up. And we talked about merit badge pamphlets. The leader guidebooks have a lot of information in them for leaders on how to do advancement. A lot of the how-to stuff is in there. We talked about the Guide to Awards and Insignia and the Boy Scout Requirement Book, and of course the Scout Handbooks are for each individual rank in Cub Scouts, and then for the Boy Scout Handbook and on up are great resources for understanding what are the requirements and the skills required for getting the requirements. That's the whole point of the handbook, is the skills to learn, that the scout needs to learn to pass the requirements. Okay, so questions coming out of this presentation. If you need help getting started with internet advancement, contact your district executive. They can help you with that. If you are using Scoutbook, starting to use Scoutbook, thinking about using Scoutbook, you can and having difficulty using Scoutbook, you can contact scoutbook.support@scouting.org. Okay. They have a forum section that is open to the public. You don't have to register to Scoutbook to get to them, and you can find out what more information, and they help each other in the forum, so you can get an understanding of the program a little bit by looking at the forums. And they've got a getting started FAQ for Scoutbook, and I have that link there. If you have general questions on advancement and council policies and what do I do now and things like that, feel free to email the Grand Canyon Council Advancement Team, and our email is gccadvancement1@gmail.com. So just feel free, if you have any general questions, to send them there. And the Grand Canyon Council has a Facebook page where we put information up on a timely basis. Don't forget to look at our Facebook page. The Facebook page is called Grand Canyon BSA up there, so take a look there. We have a lot more videos that we have put together at a council level. If you're interested in looking at more videos, and I talked about the merit badge video, and there are more videos on advancement and on other topics, this is the link to go, and it gets you to our YouTube channel where we have our videos. So If again, we welcome you to the world of advancement. I realize this presentation's a little long and it may be a little overwhelming, but take your job one step at a time and it'll really not be that bad. Have a great day.